Okay, I'm not sure you can actually see all this, but I'll go with it anyway. So, let's see, pointer. Speaker. Cone. Down in here, I don't think you can see it, but it's called a spider. This is the connection to the radio. This is the field coil. Field coil. Let's see where I can see this in the video. Field coil is right about here. Yeah, looks big. Down in the tip of this thing, right around in this area, down that way is a rod. Let's see, is it actually going down? It's going down like that. Probably a little over exaggerated, but anyway. Then what you have is what they call the voice coil, which this is like a cardboard hard stock thing in a cylinder. And you got a voice coil, it's a bunch of wire wrapped around. Alright, and that's these wires right here. They're coming from this guy, go up through the cone. There's the cone. Up through the cone. That connector's like right here. From the radio, they go through the cone and down onto that voice coil. Now that voice coil with its paper cone cylinder slides between the field coil and the rod. There's a little space all the way around, and that cylinder basically like this fits inside. Right? Like if this was the field coil, that rod would be inside there. This has wire wrapped around it. And when that signal goes on that voice coil, and this is energized with the magnet, the field coil, that causes the voice coil to move up and down, moving the whole cone. So what I was having was a vibration of some kind, which I didn't think was up here on this part. I fixed all the cracks in the cone. What I did was I took a paintbrush and some acetone and I freed the spider down here, and I'll show that in a pic. I freed the spider up to make it float, cleaned it all out, and I kind of temporarily four-pointed glued it back down, and it still seemed to have the vibration, so I took the whole thing off, which means releasing the spider, and I had to acetone this whole area up here to get the voice coil out, or the cone out. And what it looked like, the only thing I could find was the voice coil was kind of like this, right? And imagine a bunch of wires wrapped around, I don't know how many times. There was a spot where the hard stock was loose from the coil. So I took some, I think it's Ann's tacky glue or something, made it really wet, and I just re-glued everything around there and wiped it down and let things soak into the cracks. And so far, I don't have the cone totally glued. I've got the spider glued. I made these little weights out of copper tubing just for now, but it seems like the vibration's gone. And I also centered the cone with some paper. I did like a triangulated paper thing where I'll show that in a picture too, where I slit these into the between the rod and the cone to glue the spider down and centered everything. So now once I know that I'm totally convinced that the cone is in there centered, I'll attempt to glue the rest of the cone down and hope that I don't hear that vibration anymore. So far I haven't, so we're going to go with it and see what happens.